Good morning. It's Wednesday morning. We had a little bit of some technical difficulties, so we're getting started a few minutes late, but that's okay. I think you guys will come on and join us. Hopefully you will. We are ASMM Digital Small Business Connections, and we are the podcast for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs. The idea of our show is to bring entrepreneurs in front of you who you can learn from, people who have a certain specialty that helps other businesses, or people who have just learned life lessons as entrepreneurs, because being an entrepreneur is hard and it is lonely, and we want to make it less so. We want to make it less hard, we want to make it less difficult, and we want to make it less lonely. We want to have people who can talk to you in a way that you understand and you go, oh God, yes, I've been there, or yes, I need that advice. So that's what we're here for. We're on episode 66, and once again, we are streaming live. We're streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And the reason I tell you this every single time is to remind you, you can ask questions. You've got experts here who can help you. You've got experts here who have information that you probably don't have. And for me, our guest today is huge because I'm going to make a wardrobe confession. My wardrobe confession is, until I started this business, I only wore sports clothes. So for me, putting on a pair of jeans and a kimono and getting myself ready, that is a big deal. But even when I get on stage, this is the bigger confession. I never put any effort into it. I never thought about what should I look like on the stage until I spoke at a summit last October with John Maggio's summit, and I saw the pictures afterwards and thought, oh my God, I really should have thought that through. So I'm super excited about having Toi Sweeney on today. She's the author of The Secrets of a WellDressed Brand, and she's got so much to give us. Hi, Toi, how are you?
Good morning, how are you?
I'm good. So those were bad confessions that I honestly got on stage without thinking about it.
Wow. I don't even know what to say. I wish that I would have known you then, because we would not have let that happen.
Well, and you know, the truth is, recently I went to a conference out in California back in March, I guess the beginning of March, and there was a speaker there who I was really, Amy Porter. Yes. And she was talking about a lot of things, but one of the things she said was, so I wish that it was really the pictures that had clued me in that I was wrong. I didn't like the pictures, but it wasn't until Amy Porter stood up on the stage and she said, hey, you need to think about your wardrobe ahead of time. And I thought, oh, wardrobe, let me write that down. Oh my goodness. So tell me a little bit about you and what you do.
Well, I'm sorry. I think that's the best story I've ever heard.
That's a lot.
I own and operate the WellDressed Brand is the name of my company, and we specialize in the image perspective of branding for companies as well as individuals. And so for years, when I started really diving into branding, my degrees are in fashion design and fashion marketing. And so when I would listen to all of these podcasts or read different branding books, when people would get to the image perspective, they would kind of gloss over it and like, oh, you need to look the part. Oh, it's about confidence. And at the time, I was working at the #1 TV retailer at QVC as a style director, and I'd already put some things into place that really was kind of like my lab for understanding just what you wear matter, #1, and just what you wear really affect the bottom line, because we all know that in order for business to move forward, people have to know, like, and trust you. And in order for people to want to invest and spend their money in you, they have to perceive a value in you. So your image is really like the icing on the cake. It's your packaging, if you will, and they need to be able to perceive a value in that. And so I really started thinking about this. I was featured on the Donald Miller podcast as well as some other, bigger podcasts at the time. I decided to leave QVC, and then I founded the WellDressed Brand. And my first order of business was to write Secrets of the WellDressed Brand, the book, and just really kind of talk people through everything that I had learned with decades of experience of working with television personalities, working with home makeover shows, working with, directors and above founders, just kind of all the things that I learned, dump it all into one book and go, here's your map. Go.
Well, and it makes sense. If I stop long enough, which is my problem, I'm actually learning this. I'm learning to meditate and stop for a minute. If I think about it, it makes total sense. My brand, me personally, is I'm a person, first of all, I'm nice. Always nice. I'm never, there are times that I am cranky, but very seldom, at least in public, right? That's a good thing about me. I also am down to earth and I'm authentic. I am completely authentic. So when I put on jeans and a kimono, it's okay because that's part of who I am.
Absolutely.
I am laid back, right? But it should also look good. That
Absolutely.
should look good. And I hadn't put any thought into that until when I saw you come across. I think Natalie Green introduced us, and I was like, oh my God, I so have to have her on, because it isn't something I think about on a daily basis. And it's getting better. I am getting better at it, but it isn't something I think about on a daily basis. So
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. What were you going to say? Go ahead.
I think that the first step, right? The first kind of thing that you have to do is exactly what you did, is decide or think. But what makes you, what you said, think about it, right? But acknowledge it, become aware. What helps you do that? You have to decide when you step on that stage, or you're going into a job interview, or you are, presenting over Zoom, or doing a live podcast or podcast, however they do them. The first thing that you have to decide is what you want the audience to think and feel about you, right? Because Maya Angelou said, people won't remember what you do. They just won't, right? They only are going to remember how you make them feel. So you have to think about it as almost like you're a television celebrity. And when that camera hits you, what do you want the audience to think and feel about you? And then you look at your wardrobe and you say, is that coming across? Am I warm-hearted? Am I an expert? Am I in the know? Am I powerful? Am I strong? Am I confident? Whatever it is that you want people to feel and think about you, that's the way that you want to dress, the way that you want to be addressed. That is step number one.
That's really great. Yeah. So it's part of your business strategy. It's part of
absolutely
putting yourself out there.
Well, you get to control the narrative, right? Because we are so much more powerful than we know. We're so much more powerful than we realize. And it starts, obviously, mentally, but the reason that I love using your wardrobe as a business strategy, because it's the only thing that works inside and outside. And there's so many tests and scientifically proven, and I list some of them in the book, that talks about how it makes you more creative. It affects your cognitive skills. There was a study that came out in December of 2019 that talked about when you dress well, it affects your long-term vision, right? So when you're going to a job interview, that's why it's important for you to dress up. Now, maybe if you're working from home, that's the time that you want to be comfortable, because the study was showing that that is kind of the check off the list and get things done. So if you're writing a book and you're meeting a deadline and you need to check some things off your list, it's okay for you to be comfortable because it's affecting your psyche in that way. And so these are all the things that we really don't think about. And so I, really try to say, hey, this is not about frivolous fashion. This is not about the look of the day or you looking good. It's about you putting your war clothes on and getting to work and showing up as your best self.
I love that. And I wish I had a banner that said, putting your war clothes on, right? Because it is true. I spoke my headshot, and I don't have it here that I can pull up, but if you look at my headshot that's out there on everything, I'm in a longer sweater, but I'm in a dress. And it comes from after I spoke at that one conference I was telling you about. I was speaking at another engagement, and I put this outfit on in the morning, and I felt powerful. I was putting my war clothes on, and it does make a difference. It really and truly does make a difference.
Yeah, because, when you look good, you feel good, right? And when you feel good, you're confident. And when you're confident, the world is yours. You are so unstoppable. you know, and it's just, you know, my faith really drives me, and it just always reminds me, you know, like, if God is for you, who can be against you? And when I just can put on a cute outfit and I look really, I'm like, who's going to be against me today? Who's against me? No one's against me. I got this, you know, and I say that, but it's true. Like, you just, you don't even realize, but here's the kicker. So once you decide, you know, what it is that you want to say, and now you're in a position where you're feeling really powerful and you are dressing the way that you want to be addressed. You want to make sure that every aspect of your business is completely aligned. So when we go back to 1997 and we look at the Fast Company article where Tom Peters coined the phrase personal brand, he's talking about, hey, take a page out of the big brand's book. From the water bottle you're drinking out of, to the bracelet that you're wearing, to the notebook that you're carrying into a conference or a meeting, it all says something about you. So you want to make sure that it's going to be aligned. And so you can't, you know, in one space say, I'm this, I'm this, I'm that. And then over here, everything that you're saying and doing, you know, denotes, it's like the big but, right? Like, oh, but over here, I'm not. You can't do that. So what we do at the WellDressed Brand is we make sure that everything is completely aligned. I got a call yesterday from a client, and he said, you know, he's like, hey, I know I don't want to take up time. I just needed to tell you something. And I'm like, okay, what's up? He said, you know, we started out his brand. He works with barbers in his community, and he's teaching them about awareness for mental health. And so he has an exceptional new brand, and, you know, all of these things. And Nick Cannon just invested a lot of money. He's going to be featured on Oprah magazine. He's been on in a couple of months, and he has a couple of things, you know, really coming up. He's been on Good Morning America, blah, blah, blah. So he said to me, you know, one of the things that I'm so grateful for you for is that you saved me time and you saved me money, because everything is aligned. And he sent me a screenshot of him on CNN this week, and he said, I felt so good. And he was so, you know, in his wellspring of just what he does. And his wardrobe wasn't a barrier, because he didn't have to suffer from, you know, decision fatigue, because he didn't have to think about it. I took care of it for him, you know, and we worked well together in that way. So it works. It does matter.
It does matter. And I was just thinking, you said something about being comfortable in what you're wearing. And for me, I think that was my problem, is I looked at it as, well, I'm comfortable in my yoga pants, right? That's where I'm comfortable. But it was because as a child in particular, my mom would buy me these outfits that I'm like, okay, it's 90 degrees outside and you've put me in a velvet dress. I'm way too hot. This is horrible. I don't want to wear this, right?
Right.
And I think I was pushing back for 40 years that I had to feel comfortable. If I'm not feeling comfortable, then I'm not gonna, you know, and I do. So, but there is a way to do that. So putting a suit on me on a stage, I'm not gonna feel comfortable. I am all over like this. My hands are going.
Yeah.
I'm busy, and I don't have that. I need to be able to move. So I think you've got to find somebody who you can work with, who can help you do that.
Absolutely. And I think that, so here's the great thing about the world that we live in and the time that we're living in now, is this is the perfect time to kind of throw away all the rules that we grew up with, right? Because none of them really matter, and none of them are true. You can't wear white shoes. Well, the white shoes have been trending for the last 4 years.
Right.
You know, you can't wear navy and black. Well, you absolutely can, and it looks fabulous. You know, you don't wear brown shoes with black clothing. Well, that's no longer true. You know,
right?
And so all of these rules that we grew up with that are no longer true, you get to control your own narrative. The world is yours, and so there is a way to do it. There's science behind it, and color plays such a big part in it. You know, and so I'm sure that you've learned that too. And so as you're looking through, just same way that you you pick the colors for your logo, when we think back to, I love to use the illustration of Apple. And when they first started, you know, if you grew up in the time that I did, it's like we were in a sea of black headphones. You know, white is such a luxury color that you just didn't like, it's going to get dirty. I can't, you know, whatever. But when you think about the meaning of the color white, you know, it signifies hope, and it signifies like think different, try something new. So it made sense that their packaging was that way. But then when you look at Steve Jobs and him as a personal brand and his black turtleneck and his dad jeans, right? He was right. He wasn't in a suit. He was getting things done. Going back to the previous study that I talked about, but black is about elegance and power, and this authority. And he was the face of that company. So when you really think about it from a branding perspective and think about the color plus product in your wardrobe and putting it together in a cohesive package, which is what we do, man, I mean, come on, that's just magic.
Right.
And we can all do that. We can all do that.
So you said that you can use color to change the narrative. And what do you mean exactly then?
So when you think about, using the illustration of Steve Jobs, right? So let's look into the psychology of color a little bit. So we talked about Apple, and again, looking at the color white, all their packaging, the products in the beginning, or all of their accessories, are white, and they obviously branched out. I'm talking about in the beginning, they've obviously branched out into other things. And so for us, it's the same thing. But I like to use companies because you are product, and what your tools and your gifts are your superpower, and then your wardrobe is your packaging, just like the big brands do. So when you think about, let's talk about the color red. Red is about ambition. It's about determination. It's also about power, and that's why they talk about it being a power color. And so most people think that it means love. It doesn't. Pink actually is the color of love. And so that's what it is. And so I'll use myself as an example. When you see, the pictures that I have on all of my branding, it's me in this red dress, because my whole brand is about, I am rooting for your rise. I am the power behind the brand. I'm the best, and you are the best. And if you want to be the best, then come over here and work with us, and so.
Right, exactly.
And so the reaction of me in that red dress, just standing tall, I had the photographer, I'm only 5'3". I had the photographer, she decided on her own actually to shoot me down, but it's everything about that fits into what my branding strategy is. I have a friend whose actually necklaces I'm wearing today. Her company is called Valencia Key Designs. Her name is Leah Key. So if you follow Leah on any of her social platforms, her brand color is yellow. Yellow is about joy, it's about happiness, and it's about creativity. And when you take one look at Leah Key, then you see that she is someone that lives her brand. And that's the book that I'm working on now. It's just giving you the tools to be able to do that. So her platform is about joy. When she speaks, she's smiling. From everything to when she texts you to emails you, everything is about joy and what you're rooted in, and she's just completely living it. When you look at, so let's talk about color when you have to give a presentation. Let's say you're going to give a presentation to the Children's Hospital, and you're helping them to raise money for cancer. That's not the day that you're going to show up in your red, powerful dress. That's not the day that you're going to show up in your black dress. That's the day that you want to wear blue, because blue signifies trust. And again, people need to know, like, and trust you. So when you look at people who, do a lot of television interviews, they typically, if they really aren't in their brand colors, and sometimes your brand colors may not work well for television. Red is one of those colors that may not necessarily work well for television. So if you look at me on any any television outlets, I probably am not wearing red, but I wear it for print. Anyway, that's the time. Blue signifies trust. And so when you look at a lot of banks and things like that, you'd have to be able to trust them with your money. And so they tend to use, a lot of blues in that way. And so those are just kind of some of the things and the ways that you can use color that's going to really set the tone to help you dress the way that you want to be addressed.
That absolutely makes sense. It makes total sense. I want to, first of all, we have a couple of comments before we move on, because you have some other tips that you're going to give us. So Natalie, by the way, I had no idea that she was lead in Stilettos. I only know her as Natalie Green. Natalie Gregg, yeah.
Yes.
Good. So I'm like, how did I miss that? So she said alignment is mission critical for sustained success. So I love that. And then we have a question. So Whitney asked, do you have recommendations for comfortable women's professional apparel that's also comfortable?
Yeah, I think
Affordable.
that, right. And I think that affordable is going to be subjective, right? Because you may be talking about a $30 top, but to someone else, affordable may be a $200 top or $89 top. So I think that, we have to, I can't decide what affordable means to you. So I think that, Nordstrom's is, in my opinion, pretty affordable. Nordstrom Rack, if you want to get designer brands. But I think that if you kind of like luxury, then look at every kind of designer or something like that. The big department stores have an off brand where they kind of send their sales items and things like that. But I don't think that, I'll tell you why I kind of shy away from questions like that, because I don't think that you should just shop at one place. I think that you should mix things. And so what I would recommend is you continue to get your basics where you would get your basics. If it's Ann Taylor, if that's Gap, if it's Neiman Marcus, wherever you target has great things like that. So shop within your price range for those basics. And then I would invest money into your accessories. Like once we get all back out into the world and we're meeting people, but even on Zoom calls like this, I would invest in great blouses and I would invest in your accessories because at this point, no one can tell if you're wearing a pair of $500 jeans or $100 jeans. The manufacturers have gotten, we're in a time of throwaway clothing. So as long as it fits you well and it's comfortable, shop at thrift stores and go and get it tailored. If you're in a place that's open enough to do that. So I think that those are the things that I kind of recommend that you do. Because again, I've gotten really great blazers from thrift stores. I pay, $8 for the blazer and then I spend another $40 to get it tailored. And no one can tell the difference. So I think affordable is subjective.
Well, as we go into wardrobe tips, I want to ask that because I know a lot of women who, I'm 5 foot tall, I am overweight right now, and I tend to wear clothes that are too big for me. And I know I can tell they're more comfortable for me, but they don't look as good. So what's your suggestion there? Do you wear the clothes bigger for you, or how do you suggest people do that?
Well, I think that, success is a mental game, right? And so you have to feel good in what you're wearing. And if it's going to fit you tight, I'm not suggesting that. And again, it depends on what you're doing. So if you're on a live stream or a Zoom call and your body type plays so much into this. So if you are smaller on the top and you're heavier on the bottom, then you're really investing in tops right now, right? Because you're going to appear thinner. The part of you that you may feel a little insecure about, no one can see that part of you anyway. And so you're just, top dressing. And if you're carrying your weight on the bottom, then you want that to be a little bit tailored because you want to push what you love forward, right? And so you have to know, this is just basic 101 wardrobe stuff. You need to know what your body type is. And then you want to be able to dress your body type so that the things that you love about yourself are the things that you're projecting out into the world. So that's number one. And so tailor is going to be best, especially on camera, because if the flowers are too big or the print is too big, then it makes you actually look bigger. So you have to understand, here are the parts of me that I love. Here are the parts of me that I want to accentuate. Here are the parts of me that I'm working on right now. And maybe in 8 weeks or 6 weeks or 2 weeks, I'm going to feel a little bit better about that. Or, hey, I'm good how I am. Take it or leave it. But it really is about you feeling the best about yourself. No one gets to decide. We're in the time of Lizzo. Some people love Lizzo. Some people do not like Lizzo. Some people think she's powerful and they love that she is not about body shaming right now, and she'll wear the things that would typically only a size 2 could wear. And some people are appalled by it. Who cares? You get to control the narrative. And so if you're saying, hey, I feel good in this, I'm going to wear it, I would look at it and say, okay, that's great. It's a tiny bit too big. So we don't want it tight, but maybe see how you feel if you go down a size. And if you go, oh, I'm okay with that. And maybe it's just a matter of your pants having elastic. Maybe it's a matter of you shopping fabrics that have a little bit more elastic in it. It does,
Okay.
it's not about the oversizing. That's done. That's over. There's too many stretch fabrics, right? So typically jeans have 2%. Then now maybe you're going to look at brands like Not Your Daughters, because I think they have a little bit more. You shop QVC, the Kim Gravel. Her brand has 360 stretch, or 180 stretch or something like that. And so regardless of what you're doing, it's going to stretch, and move with your body. So I think that we have to, again, we're getting rid of all those old rules that we grew up with, and we're implementing the new rules, and then we're filtering them through our brand so that everything is aligned and we can be completely successful.
All right, that's great advice. So I have a question for you. We've
Sure.
talked about brand. We've talked about thinking about who you are and what you're trying to portray. We've talked about color, and we've talked about size. What do you think is most important if you're going, okay, I'm starting with a new person? What's really important for them to know?
Well, I think so. I typically work with founders and CEOs of companies. And so typically by the time someone is coming to the WellDressed brand, they already know their body type. They already, had at some point in their life had someone do their colors and things like that. And even if they haven't, then I kind of go through that quickly, because there's a difference between a wardrobe stylist or image consultant, there's a difference between an image consultant and a fashion stylist. And so an image consultant is about the rules. Wear this necklace, needs to be long, your hair needs to be all the rules, right? A fashion stylist does everything intuitive, and I'm both, but I'm going to filter everything through your brand. So as I said in the beginning, we're going to lay your foundation. We're going to talk about how the world sees you, because I'm also a Fascination Advantage coach. So we talk about how does the world see you already? Then we look at how we're going to capitalize that. And then I help you create a wardrobe that speaks to who you are and how the world really sees you. So we're going to look at you, for example. So we talked about that you were laid back, that you're, you feel like you're overweight. I think you look perfect. I can tell that you have gorgeous skin, your haircut's, really modern, and you're saying this is, what I'm comfortable with. And I think that you look beautiful. So I'll say, okay, and tell me when you walk into a room, what do you want to say? How do you want people to feel? And so then you would give me your answer. Then I look at you based on your answer, and I'll say, okay, well, when was the last time that you updated your glasses? Let's look at your eye color. Let's, here are the 20 colors in your brand that you can wear. We're going to narrow those down to 6 to 8 colors. And those are the only colors that I want you to wear in your wardrobe, so that we're telling the same story over and over and over again from a wardrobe perspective, right? And then I go back to your list of this is how you want to be perceived. And then, okay, well, now your clothes are just really big. So I like the duster. Let's bring the length up a little bit. We're going to have it tailored. And then instead of you wearing black underneath because you have such a beautiful laid back brand, let's wear light blue under that gorgeous floral dress, so that we are establishing trust. We're establishing that you're laid back. We're establishing that you're authentic to yourself and things like that. So that's a little bit of an open door of like how I start to lay the foundation. And then you leave with a completed brand book on your phone, and then a hard copy that you can take with you when you go shopping. And then if you want like then I'll move them into like, okay, I don't have time for this. I'm doing 7,000 keynotes this year. I need you to do it. Then we go either physically go shopping, or we do everything online, and then everything arrives. We have a fit session. We put all of your outfits together, and then you have the foundation to start. And then after that, we just kind of maintain by project. I hope I answered your question.
You did. And actually, one of the things that really hit home for me was the colors, because my husband says you basically wear the same colors all the time. And I'm like, I know, I do realize that this is what I do. And it's okay. So what I just heard you say is it's okay.
It is okay.
They're my comfort colors.
Yeah, because you have to show up as your best self. And so again, when we are running companies, right, and we're trying to do all the things, especially if you are a mompreneur, and fur babies count. So if you have other people and bodies, to take, breathing beings to take care of, we're pretty busy. you know, and so you don't want it to be a hindrance. So you have to think about it all the time. And decision fatigue is real. So why do you think that Steve Jobs wore the same thing all the time? Because he can't afford to think about it. He was making a ruckus in the world, you know, and so it's harder for women because we have more choices. And so what that does is create so much noise. So we have to just go, it's these 7 colors. I give you a lot. I give you like 8 colors, you know, right. And you have, as long as your silhouettes are good and we're updating your accessories every season to make sure that you're relevant. It is not about trend. It's about you being relevant and making sure that the way that what you're projecting is the way that you want to be perceived.
Absolutely. So if you could say, what's the one thing, I was going to ask another question, but let me try to do this. What is the one thing you say that surprises people when you talk to them about wardrobe?
Oh, that's a really good question. No one's ever asked me that. They're always like, what are the don'ts? What if you see that's horrible?
You know what? I have to say, I am on a anti-don't.
Yeah, because right it's now. Not right.
We're getting tweet chat a lot on social media right now, and I don't think we need that. So I am anti-don't.
Thank you for that. I love
like
that.
To know. I do think that there's probably something you say that people go, oh, I didn't know that. I thought I had to. Maybe the white, you know, you said the white shoes earlier. I'm from the South. You still, they've got rules.
Right. No, listen, I was born in Georgia. I get it.
Oh, okay.
You know. And I think that it is, I'm going to kind of answer a little different. I think that the biggest thing is just, wow. I think it's really dressing the way that you want to be addressed, because I think that we are in such a mental battle with ourselves. And people say that they want to be different. And they say that they are authentic, but 96% of the time, that is not true. That they're looking at somebody else and well, she's wearing this and that person is doing that, instead of just leaning into yourself and being so full of yourself in the best possible way, and just really walking into that room and saying, this is me. Take it or leave it. Like when we think about, oh my gosh, what's the name of the movie? The Greatest Showman, right? When the bearded lady gets to that scene and she's like, this is me. And there she is in all of her glory and all of her curves and her beard in that dress. And she looks into the camera and she's like, this is me. We don't do that. We talk and we say that we do. But when it comes down to it, the insecurity takes over and we become afraid. Right. And so when I push you out of your comfort zone and I make you own it, that is usually the biggest aha. And like I had a client who was on the Today Show last year. Oh my gosh, it was a campaign about powerful women or something. And she was fighting me, and I'm used to this, on this one piece of wardrobe. And it happened a few times in her career where then she shows up and she calls me and she was like, you are so right. I'm like, yeah. And I was working with some influencers years ago, and they were going to a Pinterest conference, same thing. And they're like, well, they were loving these bubble necklaces. I made them throw them all out. I said, we are not making bubble necklaces. I'm going to take this scarf and I'm going to show you how to tie it like a statement necklace. This is when statement jewelry was like the biggest trend, and I was so over it. And so this is to answer your question, going back to it specifically. This is what happened, and this is how we literally. She said, I want to wear these bubble necklaces. I don't know about this. So they get to the Pinterest conference, and there is a sea of bubble necklaces. 15 minutes in, they have a crowd of influencers around them. Is that a scarf? How did you tie that? Who taught you how to do that? How did you know? Where did you, And so she texted me and she just was taking pictures. She goes, all I can say is #sea of bubble necklaces. You were right. But she wanted to fit in,
Right. Exactly.
That's
exactly.
I'm sorry.
No, I think it's a great answer, because I think that it's exactly what we do. I mean, wore that dress. I wore that black sweater that day for the last conference I spoke at. And I went thinking, oh my God, I'm over the top dressed and this is not good. And then I got there and everybody had a comment and it was all positive. And actually, and the funny thing is, I didn't go for my headshot that day. They just happened to be there. But so many people said such great things about it that I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to get a headshot while I'm looking like this.
Absolutely.
What everybody says is good.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you have to take advantage of that. I love that. So I do want to ask, where do people find your book, Secrets of a Well-Dressed Brand?
Okay, so it's only on iTunes. So if you are not an iTunes phone carrier or a tablet person, I do apologize. But the reason that it's that way is because I wanted to give you the full Toi Sweeney experience. So it's an interactive ebook. There's videos in there where I'm interviewing other CEOs and we're talking about what they've seen and what they expect. I'm interviewing celebrity stylists as well, so that you're not just getting my perspective on it. And I give you all the tools, and I wanted to be able to give you links. And so it's Secrets of a Well-Dressed Brand. It's only available on iTunes, and you can find it either on my website, toysweeney.com, or on iTunes, Secrets of a Well-Dressed Brand.
Well, first of all, I'm downloading that. But the second thing is to say, I love that you're doing that because you're different already, right? You're like, this is how I dress. And by the way, if you get a chance to go back and see, Anne Handley wore a leopard skin suit on stage for her keynote presentation.
Oh, wow.
And oh my God, did she pull that off? It was absolutely amazing. So if you can find video of that, I'm sure it's somewhere. It was wonderful. And I'm sure she was saying things because she's awesome, but I can't remember what she said at all because all I could think is, oh my God, that woman's got balls wearing that outfit. She looks amazing.
Yeah, no, but that's true. And it's funny that you said that specific phrase because that is something that I've heard throughout my career, about my people of just, I've been pulled out of meetings and not out like in a bad way, but like pulled aside and just like, you've got some balls to say what you just said about, the way that the company should go as far as dress code and things like that. But I'm very passionate about it and I'm not going to hold back, Right. And this is me, I had to take my own advice. If you look back at any of my interviews, I follow the television rules, like, wear color, be friendly and approachable. And I was like, I'm going to kick out of the box a little bit. Like, this is what I wear as my signature necklace pieces because I love them. And also she's my friend and I support women in business. And so, these are my signature necklaces. So I typically have these on, but I'm either in red, I'm either in black, or I'm either in ivory because those are my brand colors. And I'll do some brighter things, between. But today I was like, you know what? I'm going to take my own advice and lean all the way into Toi Sweeney.
Well, I love that you did it. I think it's great.
Thank you.
I knew as soon as she sent me the message and said, "Oh, you've got to meet her." I was like, "I absolutely do." I think I introduced you to Ethan within a couple of seconds of that email.
Love Ethan so much. Ethan doesn't even know that we're best friends.
Oh, Ethan, well, he just emailed me. He's like, "Mom, Toy's on and you're not. What's going on?" I'm like, "I think we're having a technical problem," but he's really texting away at me over here.
About that.
Yeah. All right. So I want to remind people that where they can find you. They're going to find you at toysweeney.com.
Yes.
Where else? Where are you on social media?
I am Toi Sweeney everywhere except for on Twitter. I'm Sweeney Toi.
I'm Brennan Annie on Twitter.
Yeah, so it is what it is. But yeah, I'm pretty easy to find. And so as long as you spell my name right, all of my business just pops up on social media.
Well, and it's nice to have a name. Where does Toi come from? Was it Victoria? Was it something along those lines?
Oh, that's a great guess. But no, so it is a Malaysian surname. It means toi, which is you in French. And it actually, Toi was a king in the Bible that helped King David. And so he was a king that was a helper. But yeah, it's all three of those things. But that's it. It's just Toi.
That is a great name. I love it. I really do. So, hey, thank you so much. Don't go away. Stay here for a minute because I want to go through a couple of things. And then even after we hang up, I'm going to talk to you a little bit more.
Okay, sure.
All right, guys, I failed Monday. I have no idea who's coming on because I was so busy trying to figure out what was wrong with our technical issues that they don't know. But we'll have a great guest on Monday. I'm 100% sure of it. Please do come back. I want to remind you to please subscribe. You can subscribe wherever you're listening to the podcast, but also please subscribe over on YouTube. I keep asking for it. I know we're going to hit 1,000 someday, but when we do, I will have a big party. It will be a great day for us. I'm going to put that across the bottom of the screen so you can just subscribe at youtube.com/BrennaandAnnie. And I want to remind you that we're ASMMdigital.com. We are a digital marketing agency, and this podcast started as one way of getting our clients in front of people, and it just happened to expand. If you want to learn more about that, we have a content over on our podcast, on our blog. We have a content case study that you can look at and see how this worked and how you can put it to work for your business. I hope you guys are doing well. We are having a blast doing this. I swear it's some of the most fun I've ever had. Toi, thank you again for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun.
I'm so glad. It really was. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.